Welcome back to They Did What, your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories where I go over them, analyze them, and on occasion, make fun of them. Today I'm going to go over part 2 of the story I did the other day, titled, I Bought a Police Radio Scanner and Found Out That My Wife Cheated with Her Police Patrol Officer, or Partner. And a guy's quick review in the last one, which I'm sure most of you guys saw. This guy's married to a female police officer. Their marriage has got obviously some issues. And he started noticing a lot of suspicious behavior on her part, obviously lying, things going on, and he started to strongly suspect that she was having relations with her male partner, police partner. And this is a guy she obviously claimed that she couldn't stand beforehand, but now they're a cop, now they're working together, and this guy had plenty of reasons to find out things are going on, and sure enough, it ended with him confronting her about it and getting into a big scuffle, to put it mildly. And next thing you know, he threw her out of the house, and her partner shows up and basically roughs him around and puts him in cuffs and all that. And it ended with him saying, that's it, we're done. And by the way, she's pregnant, and this is the one that didn't want to have any kids. And he's done with her. So we're going to start on part 2 of this to find out the real dirty details, how he finds out that, in fact, she's cheating and all that. So the update starts at 2 days after I separated from my wife, she kept calling me to come back home. Well, of course, that's how it works. She needs that paycheck. I told her that I was out of town for work and we need to separate at least till the baby is born. My plan was to pack up my things after my current field assignment is over. At this point, I still pick up her phone calls and we are still on speaking terms. After what happened, I wouldn't be talking to her. We spoke on the phone concerning her affair, and she will never admit that she is having an affair and still gets angry when I bring it up. She's never going to admit it, dude. Ever. Until you have actual concrete proof and catch her in the act, she's never going to admit it. She says she doesn't even understand why I'm separating from her because she hasn't cheated on me. I have no evidence to prove that she is having an affair, just my suspicion. She turned my family and friends against me. She proactively made her case to my mom and dad and told them that I was abandoning her and lying about her. Then my parents called me and they were completely on her side because they wanted to be grandparents. Let me tell you, if I was in that situation and my parents were turning on me, I'd be done with any friends or family that wouldn't take my side. A lot of people can't do that, but I've lived on this planet long enough to be a hard ass. I told them about my suspicion, the fact that she put her lever to detain and kick me out of my own house, and they just blew past it. She got both of my parents on her side and told them all kinds of lies. Well, he's going to have all sorts of fun proving them wrong down the road. After then, I received a call from her dad threatening me. Her dad and I never got along very well. I had to hang out with him because I never liked him. And he never liked me too, and that's okay. Like father, like daughter. We have 3 close mutual friends, and she called them first and cried to them, and the fact that she is a pregnant woman caused them to sympathize with her. Well, of course. Men are always the bad guys. Everybody seems to blow past my concerns that she's having an affair. They think that I'm lying and that she is not that kind of girl. Oh my God, how many times have people said that? I've already spoken to my lawyer to weigh my legal option against the police department because I was illegally detained and thrown out of my house, even though I was the one that was attacked. And the policeman filed a false report reporting against me. Over the next 2 weeks, we went back and forth over the phone until we smoothed things out. She managed to get everybody on her side, including my parents. I had no evidence of an affair, only suspicion, and at some point I even started doubting myself. Oh my God, she was completely mind-effing you. And you start doubting yourself. No, trust your gut, trust your instinct. You know something's wrong. And it is. During the time we were separated, my neighbor kept an eye on my wife when he was home. He said the cop car never showed up and my wife barely left the house except during groceries. Well, she knows the neighbor's watching now, so you need a new way to gather information. I thought maybe I was in the wrong, smack, for falsely accusing her of infidelity. Almost a month after the separation, my wife was about 6 months pregnant at the time. We reconciled and moved back in with my wife. Stupid. You should have trusted your gut and stayed away from her. You're just inviting more problems. It was like nothing had ever happened, almost like old times. She did everything she could to make sure I didn't suspect anything. I was not home 100% of the time because of work, and I couldn't get my neighbor to spy for me all the time because he has to go to work as well. It's not his job, dude. So I installed multiple hidden cameras to catch her red-handed. I installed one in the bedroom, one in the living room, and one in my driveway. I traveled more times that month than any other time. I even traveled an entire week sometimes, so I give her the opportunity to cheat. The camera was up for almost a month, and I checked the footage religiously, but still no sign of her work partner. No suspicious behavior. It was like nothing to see here, so I gave up. I still have my suspicion, but I have nothing proved, and since she wouldn't admit to anything, I had nothing to go on. She's not stupid. She's not going to do it at the same house when she knows the neighbors could be watching, so she's going to find other ways to do it. I mean, there are a lot of stupid people out there, but to keep going back to the same thing, knowing that the neighbor could be watching, you can come home at any time, is dumb. So she'll find another way to have her roll in the hay with her lover. Fast forward to when she was about 7.5 months pregnant, we have already forgotten about our troubled past. During this period, I reduced my travel region to just locally so I can spend more time with my wife. I was spending more time with her now because she was almost due to give birth. Most of the time, I noticed that she was always texting on her phone. At first, I thought it was her friends and parents, so I paid no mind, until it started to bother me because it got to the point that I couldn't even enjoy my time with her without someone texting her phone. It's usually what it is. The phone is all the secrets you want to know about somebody is on their phone. The most suspicious thing was about how she answered her phone, the way she smiles and chuckles and tries to hide it, like she didn't want me to notice and got my interest. I didn't think she'd be cheating or chatting with the dude at her condition. She was almost 8 months pregnant at the time. One evening we were watching TV and her phone text notifications came up. She picked it up, walked straight into the bathroom. It was so obvious and she was hiding something. Well, she got to the point that it was so common you weren't doing anything, she became much more brazen about it. I reduced the volume of the TV and went closer to the door of the bathroom to see if I could listen to her conversation. But all I heard was her texting. That was when I started suspecting that something wasn't right. That's when you started suspecting, dude, you knew something all along was wrong. And you let the pressure from your family and you let her mind F you. And now, once again, once things have cooled off, she's back to, she's not working as hard at hiding it. I hope the second time around you learn your lesson. Well, second time, this is like the 10th time. There's been red flags all along since I started this damn story. He says she uses an iPhone that needs fingerprint verification, and we don't know each other's passwords. So I waited till she fell asleep. When she slept, I used her fingers to unlock her phone. Then I quietly crept to the bathroom to read her text. God, this is like a movie. He grabbed her phone and she was asleep, and he grabbed her finger and put on the iPhone. Just like a movie. The last number she was texting was named Sophie. The strange thing about the caller ID is that there was only one text message from Sophie saying, "Sweet dreams." Seemed totally innocent, right? But you know how that is when you've been texting in the bathroom for 30 minutes to one person and only one text message available with just one phrase that the person says, "Sweet dreams." The caller ID that texted her before Sophie was almost 3 hours old. It was 3 hours ago. So only the person she has been texting was Sophie. So right then my spidey sense was up again. The only rational answer is that she has been deleting the text messages to hide the evidence. That's exactly what's happening. I felt sick to my stomach at the point knowing that she is up to her old tricks. Or maybe never stopped cheating, but took it underground. I copied the number down and slowly crawled back next to her in bed. I barely slept that night. The next day, during lunch, I went to the payphone and called the number. I already suspected that it was her patrol partner, so I acted like I was a utility company by mentioning his name, and he said, "This is me." All my suspicion came back. I knew I wasn't crazy. See? This guy's going to have... This sucks, don't get me wrong, but this guy's going to at least have some fun payback with his mom and with his parents and so-called friends and even her dad when he eventually has all his proof to rub it in their face, because I'd rub it right in their noses and say, "See ya." I didn't really have the energy to confront her at this point because I was exhausted, plus she's due to give birth. I plan on leaving her after the baby was born, but every time I look at her with her pregnant belly, I feel so attached to her and want to spend the rest of my life with her. I didn't understand why she just can't stay loyal so we would make a perfect family. Because there are people in this world that can't stay loyal. They're incapable of it. They're pathological liars. They're cheaters and all that. And again, in today's world where it's almost encouraged in a way for the gals to cheat, it's like a sign of empowerment, thanks to the feminist movement, as I call it, or the movement, or some of my viewers on the other channel call it the bowel movement. This is what you get. Not every gal out there is like this, of course, but a lot are. And I feel bad for the dudes that get involved with them. I wanted to confront her and ask her why she wouldn't stop chatting up this guy. Why continue to lie and torture me so much? Because she can. And you're a guaranteed paycheck. Obviously, that guy who has a wife and kids is going to leave them. And you're her meal ticket. So no, she's not going to leave. She's just going to have her cake and eat it too. You need to have the balls to end it. And get a paternity test. I was visibly depressed and anxious about the baby at that time. A few months later, she gave birth to a baby boy. It never came to my mind that maybe the baby is not mine. Smack. How on God's green earth can you not think the baby could not be yours? Come on here, dude. I get you got a lot in your mind. I understand that, but seriously. I thought the baby looked like her, and at that age, it's hard to tell. It is anybody's guess. After she gave birth and was discharged from the hospital, I allowed a few days to pass before I confronted her about the text messages, and she lied that it was a female friend of hers. Then I told her that I called the number, and her patrol partner picked up. She denied it. Of course. Then I told her to open the text and dial that number on speakerphone, and she refused. So I decided that I've heard enough with this cheating woman. I told her I'm sick of this and I'll be moving out of the house again. She pleaded with me, and then she admitted that it was her coworker and that she hid his number because he continues to send her texts, but she didn't want to seem ungrateful by ignoring him, and she knows I will be upset if I found out, which is why she created a fake name. Yeah, nice excuse. Remember his whole sweet dreams text and all that. So she's turning around blaming it on him. I'm not the one who's cheating. I don't want to hurt his feelings, so therefore I'm going to keep talking to him and all that. Every time she gets caught, then she'll admit it, but then twist it around and make us some BS story. No guy deserves this. Nobody. The situation was reversed. No woman deserves this if she's a good woman, and have her guy do this. Nobody deserves this type of treatment. I told her that I want her to quit her job as a police officer and find another job, and she agreed. No, more like I'm done. We're done. Not this, I want you to quit your job crap, because she'll just keep hooking up with him. Or some other dude. I told her to block his number and go no contact with him, and she blocked his number right in front of me. I'm not stupid. I know she can unblock it and take the affair underground, but she's making an effort to ensure that I don't leave. Of course, because you're a paycheck. Things went on fine with no hiccup. Our families came over and we had our celebrations until the arrival of the baby. We went looking for houses to buy because the house we were staying in was rented. Why the hell are you looking at houses? You need to be looking at a house for you, not with her. She's a liar. She's a cheater. She's going to keep doing this. She's proven to be a pathological liar. She's going to keep doing this and cheating. And how about the paternity of the child, dude? I began traveling for work more frequently to make enough money for a down payment, and having a baby and an unemployed wife isn't exactly cheap. I was happy to be a new father. My wife wanted to take time from work for a while. She wanted to take time off work for about a year so she can spend time with the baby, and I agreed because I'd rather her take care of the baby than send him to daycare or get a babysitter, at least till the baby gets a little older. Fast forward a few months ago, while I was in my field assignment, I noticed I would call her sometimes and she wouldn't pick up or return my calls. Gee, I wonder what she's doing. I will call her in the evening, and when I know she should be home, and she would not answer my phone. She is unemployed and does nothing but take care of the baby, yet she wouldn't pick up the phone. I asked my neighbor, and he told me that my wife doesn't spend the most nights at home when I'm gone. I thought she was up to her old tricks again, and there was no way she would admit to anything unless she's caught red-handed. So, when I returned home last week, I bought a GPS and installed it in her car. I wanted to know where she was taking the child to whenever I'm not home, and why she wouldn't answer my calls for hours, and the unexplained times that goes missing. If you would have divorced her, you wouldn't be dealing with this bullshit. I told my boss that I only wanted local jobs for the rest of the month. That way I can monitor the GPS. I told my wife that I would be traveling out of state so I can be able to follow her to wherever she goes when I'm not home. And sure enough, the same day, I pretended like I was going out of state. That evening, she drove to a particular apartment that I wasn't familiar with. It was at a gated apartment, so I couldn't get in until another car opened the gate. I finally got in and then parked my car a few cars away. She had already left the car and went into one of the units in the apartment building. I didn't see her go in, so I don't know which unit it was, so I just walked outside. I came up with a plan to call her and ask her where she was and see if she would be dishonest. I called her while she was in the apartment, but she didn't pick up. Then she called me back about 30 minutes later. I asked her why it took her so long to pick up my call, and she said she's taking care of the baby. I told her that there was a lot of noise in the background. I asked her if she was home, just to trick her to see what she would lie to me. She responded by saying that she was at home. I then told her that I am at the airport taking a flight home and my job finished early and I'll be home in about an hour or so. She didn't know what to say. She kept stuttering her words. I asked her what was wrong and she said everything was fine. That it's just that she wasn't expecting me to come home so early and that she now has to prepare stuff, etc., and clean up the house. I asked her what she was talking about. What does she have to prepare? She kept blabbing and digging herself into more holes. It was very clear to me that she has been caught. Oh yeah. She abruptly hanged up, saying that she would call me back when my flight landed. About 10 minutes later, I saw her rushing out of the apartment. She had the baby swing in one hand, and in the other hand, she had my baby bag. And guess who was behind carrying the baby as if he was the father? She opened the trunk of the SUV, and her patrol partner was right behind her. She brought her baby over there where she was hooking up with a patrol partner. God almighty. This guy must be amazing in the sack. I don't know what it is. He must have a freaking 12-inch Johnson. I don't know what, and does things to her she's never. But she just cannot stop going back to this guy. Busted. Obviously, she didn't go no contact, and she didn't block his number. He was carrying the baby like it was his, and this man has his own family and 3 kids, and has a house with his own family in the suburbs. And it looks like they rented an apartment just to see each other. Man, she is diabolical. And you're the dumbass that keeps staying with her. I have to say it. I mean, it's warranted. I mean, over and over and over and over again. Unbelievable. Gotta have some self-respect. You gotta have some balls and end this thing, you know? It sucks, I get it, but come on here. Now he sees this. Right there. I'm gonna hope here that he obviously ends it. He says, I couldn't help myself. I immediately got out of the car and confronted them. That would have been fun to watch. They were both shocked to see me there. I told her that she shouldn't bother coming back home and that I caught her red-handed and they both should stay in their little apartment. She didn't apologize and didn't say anything. Because she's not sorry, that's why. She has hurried into the car because they both have been caught, and they both got into the car and sped off the apartment parking lot. I immediately got in the car and called her stupid dad. I told him what just happened, and I told him to his face his daughter is a tramp, just like I predicted. I told him that I don't believe the child belongs to me and that I'm getting a DNA test. I told him that the baby belongs to a man with 3 kids and was already married. I'd have fun saying that, but I'm surprised this father didn't punch this guy for calling his daughter a tramp, which she is, but, still. I will admit that I did lose my cool, but I have no regret. This woman has been playing with me for years and has been lying to me and gaslighting me for years as well. I've exposed her and smoked them out of their hiding places like rats. If she doesn't want to be with me, why did she just leave me alone during our separation? Why did she manipulate me and everyone around me to stick together? Because you were a guaranteed paycheck, that's why. She was pregnant. And she wanted then she'd be on her own and have to deal with divorce and separation and the embarrassment of it and having to look like that in front of her family and friends. That's why. And this is just her nature. I went home and she wasn't there as expected. The next day she called me crying, telling me that she didn't do anything wrong and that she needs to come back home because of the baby. Unbelievable. This is her perception of him. Her perception that he's weak and he'll just keep forgiving her. So she keeps doing this. And you can see why. She told me about the baby stuff, like food, bottle, clothes are at the house, and she needs to come back home because she feels restless and the baby has been crying. I told her she's free to come back home and I'm leaving because I don't think the baby is mine. And I'm getting divorced for good this time. She said the baby is mine, that if I denied the baby, I would regret it. And I told her that we need a DNA test so I know the baby belongs to me. I told her that obviously she didn't block the former patrol partner and she can't lie and tell me that there's nothing going on between them. Well, it doesn't mean she's not going to try. She came back home with one of her female friends. Apparently she was afraid that I would do something to her, and she knows that if she brings her former patrol partner, that things would escalate. So she brought her female friend with her. That day I ordered a DNA test online and overnight it. I refused to speak to her that day. She was terrified of me, begging me to talk to her and with her friend present. I didn't speak to her because I might get emotional. I bonded with this baby. Everything the baby owns was bought by me. So I know myself enough that if I attempt to speak with her, that I would start crying because it was difficult for me to imagine that the kid might not be mine. Yeah, that sucks. He's bonded with the kid. He's had his suspicions, but he still thinks this was his kid. But you're going to see real quick what the reality is. When the DNA test arrived, I couldn't find the chance to get the baby alone in order to get a swab because she was always with the baby. Her friend has left by now because she saw that I was no threat. It wasn't until the third day that we started talking. I only started talking to her so that would allow me to carry the baby even if it was the last time. I really loved the baby and I wanted to be a father. At the time, I wished the baby was mine and I wished the DNA test would prove it. I was able to get a chance to collect some genetic material and ship the sample without my wife's knowledge. When the result came back, I was in another part of the city for work. I was able to view the results online, and I'm really sad to say the baby was not mine. I'm sure anybody watching this is not at all surprised about that, and I'm willing to bet you she knew. I bet you she probably took a test and knew. I'm sorry for in so many ways I'm sorry for this guy. In other ways, I'm not so sorry because he just kept inviting all this bad behavior. You teach people how to treat you, guys. It is what it is. I sent the research to my parents and blamed them for doubting me. Ha ha. I was not shoving it down their throats because I wished I was wrong. I also sent the results to her father to remind him that his daughter is a tramp. My wife was the last person to get the results, and she didn't get it even from me. After all she put me through, she must have known that the baby wasn't mine. I'm willing to bet you she knew. We don't have any property together, so it shouldn't be a long, drawn-out divorce. According to law, I am the presumed father of the child because I was married to the child's mother when the child was born. I have to go through the courts to terminate the parent-child relationship and support obligation and terminate the marriage as well. I call a divorce lawyer to get my wife served as quickly as possible. So, this is the end of part 2. Part 3 will be tomorrow because, again, it's long. But there you go, guys. In the first part of the story, everybody watching this knew darn well she was lying and hooking up with her partner, but now part 2 revealed all that. But this goes to show you how much crap people will endure before they just finally have to go through so much pain and hurt to walk away. Look, this guy could have saved himself a whole lot of problems and hurt and drama and all that if he would have ended her a long time ago, but a lot of people don't learn. So, alright guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below, let me know what you think about this, and be sure to look out for the last part in a couple days. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.